Hello and welcome to the Poverty Franchise Podcast. My name is PJ, and today we have the start of the end of the NFL regular season, NFL roundups of the Poverty Franchise Podcast, and into the playoff Poverty Franchise Podcast, NFL roundups. It was Super Wildcard weekend. We were jam-packed with games. Most of the results kind of went the way people thought they were going to go. It's just how they kind of happened was where the real issues showed up. Starting with the first game, share screen with y'all real quick. Look at Seahawks 49ers. 49ers bested Seahawks 41-23. Seahawks, it wasn't a bore to watch. Brock Purdy he hasn't had a bad game yet. He had one of his, I guess, weaker games in terms of like the throws he was making and stuff like that. But he went 18 of 30, 332 yards, 3 TDs. To some people, QB rating was 131.5. Can't really ask for much more. Geno Smith didn't have too bad of a game either. This comes down to the Seahawks defense, which was suspect at the beginning of the year. They limped into the playoffs kind of slow. Good for Geno Smith, so that he's getting a bag somewhere. He's getting paid. He's getting paid somewhere, bro. And that's good for him. But that's really the expected result. Next one. Probably the most unexpected result. Chargers blow a 27-0 lead. Trevor Lawrence starts off the game fucking awful. 4 first-half interceptions. Comes back in the second half with 4 TD passes. I'm at the point where we need to free Justin Herbert. And I think it comes down to the fact that 5 points vids played out when the Colts blew their lead against the Vikings. They scored fast. They had short fields, so they put up a bunch of points, but they didn't burn enough clock while doing it. Compared to like 27 points, let's just round up to 28. So that's 4 even touchdowns. 4 like from the 20 methodical drives, right? That's damn near the fourth quarter at that point. You get the stop, you get the ball back. Long methodical drive in. But also the fact that the defense blew 27 points and. As much as I like Austin Eckler in fantasy football and as a football player, he's not a between the tackles grinded out running back. That's just not who he is. And if the Chargers want to keep that core, they're going to actually not just have a third down back, they're going to have like a closer type running back where he can get you 3-4 yards in that carry, move the sticks, burn the clock, won't turn the ball over, doesn't have to catch out the backfield, doesn't have to do all that. Maybe just the block and pass, but you need a solid backup running back who can do that because Austin Eckler is not that type of running back. You'd also, the injuries. Chargers were banged up to hell coming into the game. Joey Bosa was banged up. Joey Bosa's 15-yard penalty is also something to speak on. And Mike Williams probably would have helped here. But they decided to play super hard in the game. It didn't matter, and they got injured, so... Now, the Dolphins-Bills game, the Bills defense be looking shaky as shit. And Von Miller is a much bigger piece than I originally thought he was at the beginning of the year. He not developed into a bigger piece, but he became very important to that Bills defense success. The Dolphins put up 31 points on them. It's very impressive. The expected result happened, but the game was a lot closer. Mike McDaniel's clock management needs some work. He's a first-year coach. He got to the playoffs. You can't really ask for much more. This is about the best you're going to do fucking starting Skylar Thompson in an important playoff game. This was like, actually, I think when the Bills were in the playoffs against the Jags that year they went to the AFC Championship, when Tyrod Taylor got hurt in that slog of a game, and they had to play Nathan Peterman in the playoffs. And Nathan Peterman threw the game-stealing interception to Jalen Ramsey. That's kind of how I recognize this one, but kind of instead of a defensive slog, this one was an offensive. This one had points scored. But the Bills just look kind of shaky. I don't know. They don't look as strong as they started the year out at, in my personal opinion. The Vikings were exposed as frauds. I think I was wrong. I think I said they weren't frauds. Daniel Jones has quite possibly the best game of his career in terms of importance and the stat line on it. 24-35, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, added 78 rushing yards on the ground. Saquon had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Isaiah Hodgins had 105 yards through the air. Darius Slay had 88 yards through the air. Saquon also had another 56 through the air. Kirk Cousins did not actually have that bad of a game. The problem is how the game ended. He checked it down to T.J. Hockenson at on fourth down for the game. That was kind of it. The Chargers flew too close to the sun. Not Chargers, sorry. The Vikings, they flew close to the sun time and time again. The Giants are a very well-coached team. Again, shout out to Brian Daboll and the coaching staff, the management, for taking what was a perennial loser. And now they're in the conference semifinals. And, they have an offense that can grind you down. They're not like a super explosive offense or anything like that. I said that was their biggest weakness. But they have an offense that can grind you down, get those yards, get those pivotal first downs, and a defense that will really grind you down. Moving on, Bengals beat the Ravens in a closer matchup than I thought, 24-17. If Lamar is healthy, this game probably goes to the Ravens. The Ravens defense showed out this game. They limited Joe Burrow to only 209 yards and 1 touchdown. Jamar Chase held under 100 yards. T. Higgins only had 4 catches. The Ravens offense just couldn't get going, and I think a lot of that can be down to the play calling. Mainly not using J.K. Dobbins near the red zone a couple times will be my takeaway from it. That and just the play calling. I think Harbaugh might have run his course there, man. It might have happened. Him and I'm about to figure out the Ravens OC's name. I think it's Roman. Greg Roman, yes. I think they've run their course there. And with Lamar leaving, they've really run their course there. In the last game, the Cowboys beat up on the poor Buccaneers 31-14. Beyond the extra point misses from the kicker, the Cowboys just completely dominated this football game. The Buccaneers, I thought they had a chance at home. I thought with the playoffs, Tom Brady could readjust. Leonard Fournette, would you see that playoff Leonard Fournette show up? Neither of them fucking things happened. Tom Brady just 35-66. He threw a lot. That's just not a great stat line especially for a Tom Brady. Leonard Fournette only had 5 carries for 11 yards. Rashad Wright 7. Again, it came up is that they couldn't run the fucking football, and that's the end of that. The defense couldn't run the football. They were forced to passing, and the Cowboys defense swallowed them alive. Moving on to the divisional round matchups now. Saturday, Jags versus Chiefs. The Jags travel to Arrowhead. I don't think they're going to win in Arrowhead. I think this... If any team can do it, it's the fucking Jaguars with Doug Peterson magic. I just think the Chiefs' offense will not make the same mistake the Chargers' offense makes. They're a much better offense. They're less banged up. The Jags' defense did show resolve by in the second half, by holding them to limited points and not breaking. They can't come out slowed against the Chiefs, and no lead is safe against the Chiefs either. So that Trevor Lawrence cannot come out in the first half against the Chiefs like he did against the Chargers. But I probably have to give that one to the Chiefs. Next up on next Saturday matchup will be the Giants versus the Eagles. The Eagles look kind of shaky. I mean, they in some points of the season. With Jalen Hurts back, I believe they can move past the Giants. The Giants, there is a road for the Giants to win this game. If they can just turn it into a slog of a football game. It's a rivalry game at the Link. They can turn it into a slog of a football game. Grind them down on their defense, grind them down on offense, grind them down using the run game of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. The thing is, the Eagles can do the same thing with Hurts and Sanders. So that's this game is either going to be not going to be a high scoring, particularly high scoring matchup. I think it's going to be a very defensive football game. Probably give the edge to the Eagles. The most interesting matchup I think would be Bengals Bills in terms of it's kind of a toss up who will win. I'm probably gonna have to give it to. I think I'm going to give it to the Bengals. I mean, they both look kind of shaky in their playoff games against weaker competition. We all know how explosive the Bills and Bengals offenses can be. I have to give the defensive edge to the Bengals, but Buffalo in a playoff atmosphere, probably have to go. I'm gonna give it to Buffalo. There's again, the Bengals can get the run game going, get Mixon going, open up that passing game with Boyd, Chase, and Higgins. I don't know why I didn't name them in that order. And Hayden Hurst, of course, Hayden Hurst. God, I love you, Hayden Hurst. We'll never forget about you. You're still on the Bengals, right? That's not a dated reference. I'm not old, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah. Okay. Got it. And the last matchup, 49ers versus Cowboys. I'm going to give it all the way to the Niners. I just think they're the better football team on almost every level. They're better at running the football, which is saying a lot with a team with two-headed of Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. I think Dak Prescott against that defense is going to have a very tough time. So I'll have to give it to the Niners in that case. Beyond like this very surface level analysis, I'm giving the edge to the home team in every matchup. But I think three of the four matchups I don't think the Jaguars have a really realistic path of winning. There's obviously a path to win the football game. And it's really to get Patrick Mahomes on some mistakes when he's freewheeling it and catch up Andy Reid in some coaching mistakes with his clock management, with his play calling. And I think Doug Peterson is a good enough coach to do that. I just don't think he has the talent to do that per se. And they're not he has the talent to do it, but mentally they're not there. They need another year. I think the Niners are better coached than the Cowboys. I think Mike McCarthy, believe it or not, still holding his team back at 12-5. And I think Dak Prescott, just in important moments, panics. So I'll have to give that one to the Niners. The last thing I would like to talk about really is just the coaching situation around the league. Everyone's chasing Sean Payton. The Broncos have talked to him. The Texans should at least make a run at him. They're not going to get him, obviously. But the Sean Payton sweepstakes is on. The Cardinals have looked at him too. Him and Eric Bieniemy are your two. All right, those are your two hires. Hallbar's off the table. He went back to University of Michigan. He's gonna make one more run at that national championship. He's made 2 college football playoffs in a row. He's lost in the first round both times. So we're gonna have to, again, for Michigan football, they just gotta get out the Big Ten West. That's it. That's all they have to do. But that's beyond that. It's been PJ on the Poverty Franchise Podcast, signing off on this NFL Wildcard Weekend Roundup. See y'all for the divisional round. Peace. Stay safe. And good night. Good night. Holy shit, it's the afternoon. Good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock. Good evening. Enjoy y'all's Tuesdays.